My initial impressions are that Frost is really boring and just incredibly clunky. And even if it's good, it's gonna just be a clunky, boring spec. So with Frost felt like, to be fair, I didn't give Frost a really good try. I kind of half-assed Frost. I haven't tried Frost that much. I was trying to make a build where Icelands did a lot of damage, and it failed. It just didn't do enough damage to make it worth it. So there's a couple new systems in the current expansion, right? Or in Shadowlands. First, you can make one craftable legendary, okay? So there's different effects that you can put on these craftable legendaries. We don't have all of them yet, but from the ones that we have, you can either get Frostfire arcane damage increased by Frost Nova and it no longer breaks it, so kind of like a deep freeze, right? You can Frost Nova Ice Lance, maybe. Each consecutive critical strike you deal increases the damage you deal by 2%. I don't understand how this works. The tooltip is kind of troll, doesn't say how much it stacks to or anything like that. And we got the Grim Veiled Sandals, and you can kind of like choose, like you craft the legendary, so you choose the effect that goes on here, right? Your Fireball, Frostbolt, and Arcane Blast have a chance to give you expanded potential, which cause your next hot streak, brain freeze, or clear casting to not be consumed. Cool, right? Lots of different things that you can choose from. Arcane has different ones, Frost has different ones. Like this was ones for Arcane Barrage. I don't know what's going to be the best one. I think for Frost, this one with the 10% damage might be the best. For spamming Ice Lance and having Frost Novas not break. Like, that seems really good. I think for Fire, yes, this one. When Hot Streak activates, you have a low chance to cause all Pyros, Flame Strikes to have no cast time and be guaranteed crits for 5 seconds. So you get like a little mini combust randomly where you can just throw out a bunch of Pyros. This might be good. I don't know. Another one that just looks generally good is this one. Shadow Gas Necklace. Now what this does that's cool, it gives you 3 barriers instead of 1, but what's nice is you get the effectiveness from all 3. So if I put up barrier, it bugged out, I think. I cold snap to do it again. I think it bugged out. It was bugging on me yesterday too. But when it does work, and maybe I have to relog for it to work or /reload or something. But when it does work, I have Blazing Barrier, which hurts attackers. I have Ice Barrier, which slows attackers, and I have Prismatic Barrier that slows the CC, all of which are pretty awesome. So I could see this defensively just being an insanely good choice. Here we go. Ice Barrier absorbs damage, melee attackers are slowed, absorbs damage, melee attackers do fire damage, and then Prismatic Barrier absorbs damage, reduces damage, magical damage taken, and reduces harmful magic effects. So having all 3 of these up on a 25-second cooldown, like, defensively is insane. Like, so this one is really cool. I think this could definitely be a really solid pick in terms of the legendary that we choose. All right, so that's one of the new systems in the new expansion, right? Is that we get to choose a legendary, we get to craft a legendary, and then we get to choose which effect is on that legendary. I don't know what's going to be best. We'll have to see. More and more of them are going to come out. So the second thing, guys, is that there's a conduit vendor. And on the conduit vendor, I don't have enough money. I don't have enough money to repair. Feels bad, man. On the conduit vendor, you can have endurance conduits, finesse conduits, and potency conduits. I think those are the only 3. Okay, so with these conduits, you put them in the Forge of Bonds, and you can you choose one of these 3, all right? General Draven, Theotar the Mad Duke, or Najia the Mistblade. All right, now there's like a little talent trees. You can only have 1 at a time. All right, you have to activate. Najia the Mistblade seems like by far the best one. All right, and you can kind of choose Fancy Footwork or Agent of Chaos. This one seems really good because you get kind of like a disorient. Door of Shadows would give you the sprint. So say I went with Agent of Chaos. Now here, I can put in a Potency Conduit, okay? Now with the Potency Conduit, I can just buy it from the vendor, but I'm assuming there's gonna be like a long quest line or something to unlock certain conduits. But then you put the conduit into this talent tree of sorts to then give I have it set up for Arcane right now, so clear casting for Arcane, right? And then Flow of Time, reduce cooldown of Blink, right? You can choose these different conduits, Potency conduits, Finesse conduits, and then the Potency conduit, right? Friends in low places, You loot 20% more rubies and treasures throughout Reventreath. Finesse Conduit, Potency Conduit, or Endurance. So you could go in any of these 3 kind of directions here, but I chose the middle one. But then you could either get Dauntless Duelist, Familiar Predicaments, or Exacting Preparation. I think this one for PvP just seemed insane. 25% less on interrupts, snares, and roots. So that's why I went with that one. And you can change these, right? Just like a talent tree. So I have Magi's Brand, Familiar Predicaments, Siphon Malice, and Mirror of Torments. I'll show you guys here in a sec, but it's really, really cool. And then Thrill Seeker to do a bit more damage. All right. So this is kind of like the best path that I've found so far, but you could go with Theotar the Mad Duke, and then he has his own path as well, right? And once again, you can change all of these different conduits from that vendor. I'm sure it's gonna be a quest line, and then you could choose different paths. There's 3 different like talent trees you could choose, and then within the 3 different talent trees, there's lots of different ways you can build it depending on which conduits you choose and which path you choose. So there's like so much customization, right? So this is like probably my favorite thing about Shadowlands so far, is that everything is highly customizable, right? Like I feel like my character is gonna be really unique to me. Having said that, it's gonna be net decked, right? I'm probably gonna choose the path that I play. I'm gonna make a YouTube video, you know, thousands of people are gonna watch it, play the same build, and then, you know, it becomes a build, like, it's gonna be net decked, right? It's gonna be copied. That, you know, whoever's doing the best in the PvE ladder is gonna make up a build, and then everyone's gonna kind of follow. Same thing with PvP. So that's gonna happen. That's always gonna happen, no matter what. There's no getting around that. But it is cool that there is a lot of customization, so that if you wanted to go a different path, you could. You know, you could have a slightly different path. So that's really cool, right? So the first thing, legendaries, craft them. You can have 1. They have different equip effects. Second thing, we have Forge of Bonds. You can choose one of these 3, and then kind of choose your own path with the conduits. And then the third thing, and I'll go back to my Hearthstone to show you, but you can choose Venthyr or 3 other different covenants. These covenants are going to give you 2 different abilities and amounts, I believe. Venthyr seems to be the best one that I've found, at least so far. And with Venthyr, you have an ability called Door of Shadows, which is on a 1-minute cooldown, 1.5 second cast, and you can kind of place it on the ground. You cast it. I'm lagging a little bit there. It doesn't actually take that long. It's just 1.5 second cast. And you can cast it and appear. And then there's Mirrors of Torment, which in Arena just seems insane. That's why I kind of gravitated towards this one. Conjure 3 mirrors to torment the enemy for 20 seconds. Whenever the target casts a spell or ability, a mirror is consumed to inflict damage. And their movement and cast speed slowed, and the final mirror does a ton of damage and roots them and silences them for 4 seconds. So this thing, if you put it on someone, like, they're in trouble, right? Like they're in a world of hurt, and like that's really cool. That's really cool. I'm looking for the NPC starting area where you can kind of choose all 4, and I'm not sure how easy or difficult it is going to be to change covenants. Hopefully it's not going to be like crazy hard. Actually, the best way to do this might be able to just log in a new character. No, it's right here. So there's General Draven, and this is the one I chose, right? This is Venthyr, I do believe. And there's Prime. Oh, I can't actually look at the abilities. So what I'm gonna do is just log out and make a new character so you guys can see how these abilities are chosen. So right when you log in to the beta, we're on the Mage. Back where I belong. Back where I belong. So with Necrolord on the Mage, you get Fleshcraft, forming a shield of flesh and bone over 4 seconds that absorbs damage, right? Like, nice defensively. But this is a channel, actually. So channeling near a corpse claims more. Like, this is first time I thought this was instant cast, but this is a channel. So like, it just does not seem good. Like, in Arena, you're just gonna get kicked. And then Deathborn, 1.4 second cast, 3-minute cooldown. Transform into a Skeletal Mage. And when you're a Skeletal Mage, Frostbolt, Fireball, and Arcane Blast hit up to 2 enemies near your target and spell damage increase. This is just by far the worst. Like, in Arena, both of these don't do anything. Like, casting a Frostbolt, you can't cast a Frostbolt in Arena. You're gonna get owned. If you stand in the middle casting a Frostbolt, you're just cheat. And then same thing with channeled spells, it's gonna get instantly interrupted. So this is just bad. Bad for Mage, I mean, if I had to guess, at least. Not the greatest. The second one is Venthyr. Venthyr is the one that's like pretty solid, right? 1-minute cooldown. huge blink, like we talked about, and Mirrors of Torment, meaning, like I already read this one out, but you put the 3 mirrors on someone, and they're scared, right? They're gonna get silenced and rooted, they're gonna take a lot of damage, they're slowed, their casts are slow. This is just good. Like, this is probably gonna get nerfed in Arena. Like, this is pretty good. You put the mirror on someone, now they're in trouble. You could sheep someone, set up with Mirrors of Torment, and then burst. As a rogue mage, you could blind someone, Mirrors of Torment into the blind, and then burst. It's just good. It's a fun ability. It looks fun. Like, Venthyr just seems good. Venthyr seems like the best so far, right? And I've just briefly logged in, played a little bit of Arena in the beta. Kyrian, conjure a radiant spark that causes damage, and the target takes 10% increased damage from your direct damage spell stacking each time they're struck. So first, I thought, okay, Radiant Spark seems really good. You could Radiant Spark and spam Ice Lance. You could Radiant Spark and spam Fire Blast and Pyros. More damage. But then, like, it just doesn't seem as scary as what I just read off from Venthyr. Doesn't end with a 4-second silence. It doesn't have the root. It doesn't have the slow. It doesn't have... I mean, the damage seems maybe just about the same. So the other one just seems better in a lot of ways. It is better in a lot of ways for PvP. So I don't know. I was really excited about Radiant Spark, but I think the other one's better. And we already looked at Summon Steward. 15% health, removes curses, sees, poisons, bleeds. Don't know if that's going to be the play. We'll see, though. I don't know. Probably not the play there. I do think this one, Kyrian, looks like the second best. I think Venthyr looks the best for Mage. Kyrian looks second best. Night Fae. You turn into a Vulpin, increase in movement speed. This has to be some type of troll. I don't know, man. Yo, Carbon Steel, thanks for the sub, dude. Hell yeah, see the chat. Give me some love. There it is. Last 12 seconds are definitely in the rest area. This is just not good. Just not good. And then shifting power draw, power from the ground beneath you, dealing nature damage to enemies. This is maybe the worst one. This is just not good. While channeling, your mage ability cooldowns are reduced. You could maybe do like some type of short combust with this, or a short combust build, or in Arena, this is just not happening. In Arena, I can guarantee probably that Venthyr is going to be solid unless something changes, like nerfs, buffs, stuff like that. But Venthyr seems the best, and then to me, Kyrian seems the second best. But yeah, so you can, like I said, guys, you can choose your legendaries, all right? You can choose your Covenant, and then you can choose the Conduits based on the talent path, depending on which ally you decide to go with. So lots of different systems in place here. My number one favorite thing is that there are a lot of cool systems in the expansion. I think my least favorite thing, as I say that, I log in Frost. My least favorite thing is like Frost feels exactly the same. It feels incredibly clunky, right? Like I just want like a big Frost burst damage back, which looks like it's just not the case at all. And then for fire, it's looking like no huge burst, just a lot of like annoying consistent pressure, kind of like Legion fire in a way, maybe. But it still looks pretty fun. Like fire looks pretty fun, but Arcane almost to me seems like the best. Arcane or fire could be really good depending on the comp and the metagame. I think they'll both be pretty good. Frost still seems pretty weak. I mean, I could be wrong. It's just my initial gut reaction. But with Arcane, guys, Arcane Missiles just does a ton of damage, and then if you get Amplification, Arcane Empowerment, and then there's an Arcane Legendary that I'll show you that I've been messing around with. Not that one. This one. Yeah. Increases the damage done by Arcane Missiles by 10%. Each time Arcane Missiles hits an enemy, the damage of your next barrage is increased. Alright, but think about how many Arcane Missiles hit an enemy. Like, if you channel, like, 10 of them, you know, boom, 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 that's like 2%, 2%, 2%, 2%, and you're just getting flat 10% missile damage, alright? And as Arcane, you don't really die anyway, so not having the barrier one's not a big deal, because you have, you know, you have 2 Shimmers, alright? You have Temp Shield, and you have Alter Time, right? So you can, if you're getting owned, you can just Temp. If you're getting owned, you can Alter. If you're getting owned again, Temp will probably be back up. And if you're getting owned, Alter will be back up. And you have 2 Blinks. And you have Door of Shadows. And you have Greater Invis. You know, like, you have so many defensives as Arcane that I think you want more offensive talents. And I think stacking increases damage done by missiles with Arcane Empowerment, with Amplification, Yeah, I think this is like, it just does so much damage. Then you pop like Arcane Power, Presence of Mind, which is 3 Arcane Blast charges, not 2 by the way. It just seems really, 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 really powerful. For burst, you can sheep someone, throw a Mirrors of Torment on them, right? We've already discussed what that does, and then touch the Magi, and then Arcane Power Palm, spam 3 Arcane Blasts into a barrage, and then spam missiles, and the guy's dead. That's crazy. No other spec has that right now. That's just an insane amount of burst, insane amount of mobility. Can't really die. On top of that, Arcane got kind of buffed because every spec has Frostbolt and every spec has Fire Blast, right? Meaning, if I get locked in Arcane, previously I couldn't do anything. Now, if I get locked in Arcane, I can cast a Frostbolt, I can cast a Fire Blast, right? I can still finish people off. I can slow people down. I think Arcane is looking right now. It's super laggy on the beta, but I think Arcane right now is looking pretty good. Yes, okay, so there is a PvP vendor. Right now, there's 3 rings, 3 cloaks, 3 necks, 3 wrist straps. You know, 3 of everything. Okay, so the only hope I have for this, is that there's all stats that we can choose from. Meaning, if there's no haste, like say haste verse is the best, if there's no haste verse legs to buy, then the vendor's for naught. Like then we have to go and farm it anyway. Then the vendor doesn't even help at all, right? So we need every stat combination on the vendor. That's important. Blizzard, are you in there? Blizzard, this is important. We need every stat combination on the vendor. Like, it needs to have every stat, or else the vendor's wasted, or else the vendor like doesn't help that much. All right, but there is like the epic gear from the conquest, and then the honor with the blue gear. So exactly as we've seen it in the past, right? I love that. I love that vendors are back. That's really cool. We just need enough options to where we can actually buy the best in slot stuff. Please. Or reforging. Yeah, or reforging.